Welcome to this week's episode of Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement in as little as 15 minutes to build your dream business. And now here's your host, the Visibility Wiz, Cindy J.
Hi, I'm Cindy J, the Visibility Wiz, and welcome to this episode of Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement in 15 minutes or less to grow your business. And today, I'm really excited about our guest, Tyler Wagner. He's the founder of Authors Unite. He's the best-selling author of Conference Crushing, and he's also the founder of Wags Media, where he helps people start and scale their businesses online. Tyler's passion is to help as many people become authors and successful business owners as possible. The feeling of intertwining what you love to do with your work is nothing less than bliss, and Tyler wants everyone to experience this feeling every day as well. Welcome, Tyler. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. And to begin with, can you share a personal or business challenge that you had to overcome in order to achieve your level of success?
Definitely. So I think it's more not like a specific story, but just like an overall thing that it was like for me. So in college, my major was accounting, and I hated accounting, absolutely hated it. But my major was that because I had read or heard somewhere that was the highest paying job out of college. And I realized in my life, I was always going after the money in the beginning, because that's what I thought, that's what success was. And then I actually dropped out of school and dropped that major, and I started to just do what felt right to me, like what I actually enjoyed, like doing, I do a podcast myself, and starting my own businesses online of things that I actually enjoyed. And although in the beginning, maybe it wasn't financially rewarding at first, over time, you're able to continue and work a lot more on things that you enjoy. So the accounting maybe at first would have made me like 70, 80 grand a year, but I would have hated it, and I wouldn't have been able to last it. So I think that's what I'd like to kind of just bring to this episode in the beginning, is just kind of say, don't ever go after the money, because the money follows the passion anyway. So just go after what you enjoy, and the money will come. You just got to be patient.
And, I hand it to you for dropping out of school and realizing that you were just following the money. I see a lot of business owners and so many different people doing this. They're either trying to follow the money because that's what they think is going to make them happy. But then I believe that is the number one reason why, I know it's a high percentage, I think it's like 60 or 70% of Americans are very unhappy in their jobs.
Yeah, I would not.
Yeah, it's a very high percentage. And so, it's because you were going to follow the money. So had you went into accounting, you would have been in that 60 or 70%.
I can't imagine.
And, I know that you have your Authors Unite, where you help people write their books. And a lot of people have books inside of them, or again, they might be trying to go after that book that's going to make them the most money or make them the most famous. So how should somebody even go about deciding what type of a book to write?
100% has to do with their goals, right? Like for some people, it could be just a passion project. For some people, it's a lead generation tool. For others, it's purely branding. Like they just want to get that best-selling author title. So I guess to kind of backtrack a little, no matter what the goal is, the focus should always be on providing as much value as possible to your target audience. So I think we all do have a book inside us, and the actual writing of that, I believe, should always be the same, and that's providing value. But then the marketing strategy behind it is different dependent upon why you wrote it. For instance, if it's like a lead generation tool, then obviously whatever business that you run, you would want to write a book that provides value to that target audience. And then they can read the book and they're like, whoa, this person just added a ton of value. And then within the book, you kind of sprinkle your website within it and have some opt-in options. And then they could potentially become a higher level client for you after they read your book on said topic. So hopefully that answers it.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I know a lot of people, you just said that, they want to be the best-selling author. And so what are some tips on, even before you even start writing the book, of how you should prepare yourself to become that best-selling author?
Well, okay. So before, like, marketing, in my opinion, when I work with people, marketing starts even before you start writing the book.
Mm-hmm.
And that is actually doing the market research of like your target audience, and then also going into Amazon and like seeing other books that are in that category that you're writing in, or niche, like the ones that are most successful and why are they successful, and actually like analyzing all this information. And then you can start with like a clear map, which is where I think most people, they'll write their whole book, and then at the end of it, they're like, oh yeah, I got to market this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that is number one. And number two, as far as hitting the bestseller list, really what it comes down to, there are four main ones: Amazon, USA Today, Wall Street Journal, and New York Times. So just to speak on Amazon for this show, and they all kind of work similar. There are small differences, but they all work similar. For Amazon, you want to gear all your marketing efforts towards like one day. And basically you want to have like a huge influx of sales in one day. And then from that, Amazon's algorithm recalculates every hour. So if you get like 1,000 purchases in one day, then you'll like shoot right up the rankings, and you should be able to hit number one in your category. Their categories are competitive and some are less competitive, but you should, depending on the competitive nature of that category. And then, as far as the longevity of that, though, there's more marketing you have to do, right? Because it's every hour. So if you just have a bunch of sales on one day and then tomorrow you have none, then it will obviously fall off the charts. So, but just to get the bestseller title, that is really what it takes.
I've seen a lot of people, hey, I wrote a book and I was even the bestseller on Amazon. But whenever you go to Amazon, it's like they're not even selling it anymore. Or, it's like they die. They get this big influx of people, then they let their books die. So, whenever you write a book, when I write my book, which will be in 2018, then I want it to stay alive forever. I don't want it to like be this influx and then let it die. So how can you prepare for it to not let it
die? Well,
die?
it's really a never-ending process until, and even after it is, but I'll say word of mouth is, the best marketing, right? Especially for books. So if you think back to like anytime one of your friends or somebody that you trust has said, hey, like I just read this book, it was awesome, you have to read it. Like whenever one of my friends tells me that, I don't really question it. I just get the book. So the whole goal, even if you want to give your book away for free, like one of my mentors when I first started out actually said, the best way to sell more books is to give more books away for free. And at first it didn't make sense to me, but then it did, just because like then word of mouth can spread. And that's why, going back to what I originally said, focusing on value. And Seth Godin talks about this. He's like, the word remarkable is what it means is like, is it worth remarking upon? So you should write a book that has so much value and like good storytelling. And I'm more focusing on nonfiction right now. Storytelling, that people get a ton of value from it, and then they like feel a need to remark upon it. They feel a need to share it with somebody. So if you focus on that value, and then also you continue to market after your launch, meaning like you're getting on podcasts, you're doing like collaborative things, maybe referral type things, affiliate type things. And then Amazon ads is another great way. Amazon ads are like very cheap right now, and basically they're not too difficult to set up. But basically Amazon ads, you can set them up and then send traffic directly to your book. And basically we're seeing anywhere from like 7 to 10 cents a click, not to get too like markety nerdy right now, but like 7 to 10 cents a click is like very cheap.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So like you can get like millions of impressions on your book with Amazon ads for like a very like low budget. So what I'd say is if you continue to keep marketing it, just keep going in all sorts of different ways, podcasts, Facebook ads, all that, and then also have Amazon ads running, you should be able to keep it going.
Now, with that too, you'd mentioned like free books, and I would imagine that's a lot you're giving the free books via Kindle, correct?
In some cases, another way is giving a free PDF for an opt-in. So that's where we run Facebook ads and really use it as a lead gen tool. So we'll set up we call it a free book funnel, and you give away the full free copy of the book, but in PDF form. And then you send Facebook traffic to that. And then it's like a sales funnel on the thank you page. Then you introduce like kind of more about you and what your services are. And then you become a client just from that funnel. So Amazon's actually left out of that second equation.
That's very, very interesting. I know I had heard or read recently that that the per se general public nowadays sees quote unquote ebooks as not being very valuable, but actually whenever you're giving them a PDF copy, isn't that an ebook? So how do you entice the people or show the value of it without them thinking, oh, just another ebook?
Well, so what's interesting about that is like I actually, unless I'm like in love with the book, I only do audiobooks. So I think we are very much moving in a direction of like podcasts and audiobooks, and like the like analytics like show that for sure, like voice and it's just like we can multitask, right? So as you go on a walk or go to the gym, you can listen. So I personally do not read ebooks. And the thing is this though, is with giving away a free PDF copy, it's still the same content. So you're still providing a ton of value for free. Like a full book is like, you know, like you put how many like years maybe into that, right?
Right.
You just turn around and give it for free. So what happens is the person still feels the value even if they don't fully read it, because it's really not that pleasurable to like scroll through 300 pages of PDF and read. So what ends up happening, and kind of the brilliance behind it, is they'll get it, and if they like what they first glance or skim through, then they'll probably end up going to Amazon and getting the audio or paperback version and purchasing it. And then they're also on your mailing list so that you can follow up with them to become a client down the road. So what I'd say is it's not that ebooks and PDFs, let's say, or we can group them together as the same, don't have value. It's just they're just not as pleasurable of a read.
Right.
So that's what I'd say.
And I know a lot of people, and I've done this myself a whole lot, where people will say, get the first 2 chapters of my book for free, and then I'll read the 2 chapters, and I like it, so then I go to Amazon and order their book.
Totally, and that's another way to do it as well.
And so what other little tips and hot tips and secrets do you have that you'd like to share with the audience about writing their first book?
I think the biggest thing is to let go of perfection. So what I've found is like the creative path, at least for writing a book, is you want to get everything out of your head. So like when you have a book idea, it's usually like stuck up there for a while, and you're like churning on it for a while before you like get the time or make the time to sit down and like start. And the first thing I always start out with is like a mind map. So I'll like sit down, and everything that's in my head on the topic that I want to write about, I just like put it on a whiteboard and just put circles around each topic. So I have like 100 topics. And then afterward, I look at it and I group the topics together that I think could work together. And then I write each section or chapter separately, but I don't put anything in order yet. I just write it. So it's like I'm writing blog posts almost of like separate. And then at the end, once I have all the chapters, then I put them in an order. Then I write the conclusion and introduction. Then I come up with the title. It's like literally the opposite as most people would try to do it. And like letting go and not editing anything, like just letting it all pour out of you. And then at the end, once you're, I call it like a pre-final draft. So it's like all done. And then you can go and run your first like self-edit. But where most people get stuck is they'll try to write their introduction. And then they'll be like, I don't like this. And then they'll go back and try to edit the introduction. So it's like you never actually complete the process once, because you're in a never-ending cycle of editing like your introduction, your first chapter, and you're trying to organize, like just let go, get the information out, organize later.
That really sounds simple. I know we were talking before the podcast, and I said I have written a whole lot, but I have done exactly the opposite of what you said. I had my outline, my intro, A, B, C, D. This is what I want, and then I have written so much inside of like A, B, C, and D, but I still haven't got to my E, F, G, and H. And I'm like thinking, my God, I have too much information. I need to tone it down. So with your way, it's like all the information's good, but I would have separated all of this and then figured out how to mesh it together to where it's fine-tuned.
Totally, yeah. It's very interesting how it'll naturally come to you if you just get the content out, and then the order kind of naturally comes to you from you experiencing the process of letting it all come out,
Right.
So
Yeah. That's really, really good. And I know also some people, if they say, hey, I can't write and they don't want to write, how else can they get their books out?
Definitely, yeah. Well, you could voice it, right? So, like, I'm not a natural writer. Like, I'm very much extrovert. Like, I love talking to people. So, like, this is, like, my zone. Like, I enjoy this. So, for me, when I wrote my first book, like, that was hard. Like, I was, like, I locked myself in my room, and I was like, come on, man, you can do it. Actually, I was typing. I was like, I wasn't writing. But I was typing. But, like, for any upcoming books that I do, there's actually this app called Dragon. And I'm sure there's a bunch of other, like, voice memo apps. And you could totally just speak it, have it transcribed, and that's what the app does, and then edit from there. And I think for somebody like myself and any other extroverts, that may be your best path.
Right. And even with that, if there's a coach or a service provider out there that's doing their own podcasts or webinars or even Facebook Lives, they could do the same thing with that, is just utilize the content that they are already sharing and talk it to transcribe it into the words and then edit it.
Totally, yeah. And for a lot of people, that would be a lot easier. And it kind of takes the burden off your shoulders of like, oh, I got to write,
Mm-hmm. Tyler, can you share a strategy with our listeners that they can implement in 15 minutes to grow their business?
Yeah, well, to grow, I actually was going to share, if it's okay with you, something to like start a business. Is that okay? So
That's
like my kind of methodology with this, because I think a lot of people struggle with like picking a business that's right for them. So if you take a piece of paper and basically write you'd have 3 columns. So list things that you enjoy doing, that like you have a passion for. And then in the second column, list next to those things that you enjoy, how you can provide value to others with that thing that you enjoy. And then in the third column, you would list how you can make money doing that thing that you enjoy that also provides value to people. And then basically you have a list that's 3 columns, a list of 10 things. And you basically look at it and you're like, okay, I like tennis. I can teach people tennis. This is how much money I could make doing that. And then you basically have 10 of those things, and like you just start with the one that like your gut feeling. And I think that's like the easiest way to pick a business that you like, that provides value, and that you can earn money. And like you said when you introduced me, I think the most important thing to grow a business too is intertwining the two. Because the only way to like work consistent, like 14, 16-hour days, which sometimes when you run your own business, that's just what you got to do. It's got to be something that you like. You won't last if not. So that's what I would say.
I love that. Thank you. And also, there's so many people whenever they first become a coach, they're like, I'm going to coach everybody, and they don't want to choose a niche. So your method is a perfect way for them to choose their niche if there's coaches out there listening.
Yes, you got to niche down. You're not coaching everybody, or you're coaching nobody.
I know that you have an absolutely wonderful gift for our listeners. So can you share a little bit about it?
Yeah, definitely. So my Authors Unite company, we have a free membership portal where basically there's already a ton of content there, but consistently I will add more content there on basically how to write, publish, and market your book, and then how to leverage your book to grow your business. So videos, worksheets, things like that, and it'll definitely get you started in the right path if that's the direction you're going in.
And to our listeners, you definitely want to head on over to bizsuccessin15.com/Tyler, Tyler. So that's bizsuccessin15.com, Tyler, and grab your free membership portal at Authors Unite. I can tell you there's a ton of information. One of the things that I really enjoyed was there's 100 tools that you can utilize to write your book. And so I thought that was really cool, having these 100 tools. So you want to go over there and get your membership and get your book written, because Tyler's got it all there for you, everything you need. And Tyler, do you have any parting words for our listeners?
I guess going along with the theme is I would just say have fun with your work and just make your business as fun as possible, and success is around the corner from that.
And thank you very much for being my guest today. It's truly been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's show, you want to run over to bizsuccessin15.com/Tyler. You can download it, you can re-listen to it, and feel free to share it with your friends, because I believe everybody has a book inside of them. And so let's all get our books written. You'll be able to also re-listen to any episodes that you might have missed, and be sure to grab your free membership in the Authors Unite. With that, big hugs, and I hope you have a great week. Tune in next week for another episode of Biz Success in 15.
You've been listening to Biz Success in 15. For all links mentioned in today's show, and to watch or listen to previous episodes, visit bizsuccessin15.com. Thanks so much for listening, and be sure to tune in next week for another amazing guest.